How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. It just happened. The thing that I said would absolutely make altcoins soar is starting to happen, albeit it's like there's a little asterisk next to it because it's not BlackRock or Fidelity that's doing this. It's a company that not a lot of people really like anymore, but I think this is just leading up to when BlackRock and Fidelity unveil what they're going to do. I'll explain it, right? I feel like I'm being too vague here. But we also have Bitcoin at 125,000, right? Like it hit 125,700 over the weekend. Now it's slowly climbing up and starting to like look a little bit parabolic here. So we could see some interesting price action. We also have massive inflows, new record inflows for digital assets. We have gold hitting 3,900, which is pretty insane because it's over 10 times larger than Bitcoin now, even with Bitcoin's recent move. We have one of the top stocks in the world, one of the largest stocks in the world, moving up 25% today. And actually, it might be up more, 27%. And we have Tom Lee talking about his biggest bet, or what he thinks is going to be the biggest winner throughout like the next year. So let's talk about all that. If you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. Also, if you want to hit the bell notification, you can get notified right when I post videos. Also, if you're not trading yet, I would suggest thinking about it, right? I've been talking about this for a long time, since Bitcoin was in the 30,000s, maybe even 20,000s. And we've been able to make life-changing amounts of money by trading crypto using leverage this cycle. Now, we're not doing 100x trades, right? We're using low leverage and we're doing it at opportune times. I still think you can make a significant amount of money this cycle with using leverage. And right now on BYDFi, for a few more days, you can get up to $13,000 of a bonus, and you can possibly win an iPhone 17. This is for everyone that's ever signed up. Unlike a lot of other exchanges that have a new user bonus and then it's like gone, it's pretty much impossible to get anyways, and then it's gone within a week. We constantly run these for anyone that's ever signed up using my link. Now, if you've signed up and you haven't used my link, you can actually join the Telegram. I have a pinned message there on how to get yourself underneath me so you can get part of these great bonuses. And the nice thing is we know someone that works at the exchange too. You can connect with them through Telegram in case you have questions or concerns, or you can join the whale chat as well, where we have a handful of big traders, like 20 big traders in there constantly talking. So check that out. Now, like I said, Bitcoin is moving up, right? Like we had a spike over the weekend from 122,000 to 125,700. And that was mostly spot buying. Like there weren't a lot of short liquidations, which is odd because these were big moves in a very short period of time. It's kind of reminiscent to what's happening right now. Like in the last hour, we've seen $21 million worth of shorts liquidated, but that's not a lot. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen more longs liquidated than shorts. So in my mind, this is more of a spot-led rally. It could be due to the ETFs. The ETFs saw record inflows last week. Nearly $6 billion. Most of this was coming from Bitcoin, about 3.3 billion. But then, of course, there were some Ethereum ETFs that pulled some, and then Solana, etc. So record inflows, and by a significant amount, over $1 billion higher than every other week that we've ever seen, or at least this last year. That's what they're showing on this chart. We got some big news today. Grayscale, Ethereum Mini Trust, and GSOL, the Solana Trust, are enabling staking. Now, this is an ETP, this is like a spot ETP, an exchange traded product, not an ETF. Slightly different. I'm not sure the specifics on like who can invest in ETPs versus ETFs from like a hedge fund standpoint. I'm assuming most of them can invest in both, but this is pretty big news because this could spark a lot of interest in altcoins. Like even since the market opened, Ethereum's up a good amount. It's up to 4,650. You can see a pretty big jump, like a $60 jump there, just on the open, right? So in a very short period of time, and Ethereum's done really well recently too, climbing to, not new all-time highs, but climbing up today. So I think this is big news. I've said this for a long time. A lot of banks and a lot of other hedge funds are very interested in staking crypto because they can get a yield and they can sell that to certain investors. Like some investors just don't want something that's unproductive that you just buy and hold, but they might be interested if there is a 3, 4, 5% dividend yield and then they hold the underlying asset And then, that could be quite attractive to them. Now, I don't really like buying Grayscale. I think they've kind of screwed over some investors in the past, and there's a lot of drama last bear market with them. Also, the Solana Trust GSOL is a 2.5% expense ratio. So pretty much not exactly what you're making in staking, but a good portion of what you're going to make in staking is just going to go to pay that expense ratio, really. So I don't love the product. I'm not going to buy it. But down the road, if BlackRock and Fidelity step in, they could definitely lower fees like what they did with the Bitcoin ETFs. And that might be attractive. I think that would be attractive, right? And you could put it in retirement accounts much easier than buying crypto, which you still can put crypto in retirement accounts. But there are a variety of reasons you might want to use an ETF instead. So that's pretty awesome. I'm excited about that. I think, again, there will be other providers or other companies that allow staking relatively soon too. Gold reaches a new all-time high of 3,900, over 3,900. Right, we have gold hitting new highs, silver hitting new highs, VOO hitting new highs, Bitcoin hitting new highs. Real estate's been a little bit stagnant because of interest rates, but in general, all assets are moving up because the dollar's being devalued. Right, we're turning on the money printer again, so be ready. Right, like a lot of people are worried that there's going to be a crash. The bigger worry is that you get off the elevator before it keeps on moving up, right? And then you have to try to buy back at higher prices. So yeah, I'd make sure you're invested, right? Now, gold hitting a new high means that it is a very large market cap. Bitcoin is in a market cap of 2.5 trillion or 23.8 trillion less than gold. In other words, gold is 10.5 times larger than Bitcoin. Even if Bitcoin hits $1 million and gold was unchanged, Bitcoin still would only be 75% the size of gold. That's insane, right? I mean, most people are still thinking about gold last cycle because last cycle everyone was saying, well, if Bitcoin gets to gold's market cap, it's going to hit $600,000. I've been saying this since then, that gold continues to move up, and I didn't expect it to have such an explosive move like it's had this year. It's been one of the best performing assets. A lot of people are worried about devaluing or the value of currency going down. Think about if gold continues to move up, not at market returns. Maybe it doesn't hit 10% returns, but maybe it goes up 7%. Let's say it goes up 7% for the next 10 years after this year. That is still underperforming the S&P 500 historically and Bitcoin and all that stuff. So I don't think it's a very aggressive assumption. That means that gold would double, meaning it would go from 26.5 trillion up to 53 trillion over the next 10 years. $53 trillion, which means Bitcoin could 20x and it would still be worth less than gold. So everyone that thinks that Bitcoin can't hit $1 million, if it hit $1 million, gold continues to go up, let's say 7% a year, it would be less than half the size of gold. Significantly less. So we can definitely get $1 million Bitcoin in the next decade. I would not rule that out by any means. Now, crypto is not the only thing moving. I feel like last cycle, obviously in like 2021, there were a lot of stocks moving up, but you kind of saw the peak of the stock market, or at least like the risk-on market happening in March of 2021. And then the peak of crypto was kind of split between that time period and then later that year. Right now, we're seeing stocks also soar with crypto, which is kind of interesting, right? It makes crypto seem less overvalued, right? Crypto hasn't had massive moves since Trump came into office. AMD stock is soaring 27% here today on the news that OpenAI is taking a 10% stake in the company. OpenAI will deploy up to 6 gigawatts of AMD Instinct GPUs, beginning with a 1 gigawatt rollout in 2026. Now, I'm not an expert on this, but I was listening to something that said that 1 gigawatt equals like $50 billion. So I don't even know where OpenAI is going to get all this money. There's still some debate over this because this is a lot, right? I mean, OpenAI is being valued at $500 billion, but still, this is a lot for them even. Now AMD is a $342 billion company. Year to date, it's up 72%. A lot of these chip makers, a lot of anything connected with AI that's actually bringing in real profit, real revenue, is going up significantly this year. Of course, there are some like hybrid stocks like Amazon, right? They have direct exposure to AI, but they're not just an AI company. They have retail, advertising, cloud. They haven't really moved up. I actually really like Amazon, so I'm buying more constantly. But yeah, it's interesting to see how this all is shaking out. Now, let's just check on Bitcoin, 125,000, almost on the dot. Let's see what Tom Lee has to say about this market right now.
The shutdown, valuation concerns. What do you think is going on? Why do investors just continue to feel confidence?
Well, Frank, I think there's two underlying fundamental drivers for the economy. One is that we know there's a tremendous capex tailwind from AI. And the second is that the Fed's been on hold for 9 months, and it's kept the ISM below 50 for now 31 months. And the Fed's dovish. So that's the rest of the economy getting basically a lifeline. Those are going to be powerful tailwinds that even a government shutdown doesn't really change the story around. And now that we're in the seasonally strong fourth quarter, and valuations, I just don't think are that demanding because, NVIDIA is still at 26 times earnings. I mean, I think stocks still have a lot of upside into year end.
All right, really quick. You're talking about ISM manufacturing, right? Still in contraction. You're saying the Federal Reserve rate cuts, if we stay on this path, that boost the manufacturing sector? Is that the point you're trying to get to?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So the manufacturing sector has been cautious for 31 months, the longest stretch below 50 in history. And, that's business confidence. It's highly correlated with earnings growth. So I think once that moves above 50, that means we're back in expansion mode, and it's good for financials and small caps, and the tech trade continues. So I think it's a broad-based rally.
I think a lot of people think it would be good for transports, energy prices. I think, as you mentioned, it would have impacts across the board if we see a boost in U.S. manufacturing. Okay, I want to get to your word of the day. It's dovish. Now, this is interesting. Your word's dovish, and you're dovish because the Fed didn't get the jobs report and might not get other reports. Why are you dovish, or you think the Fed's dovish, despite that critical information?
Well, the Fed has, I think, on balance, has to be more dovish than what they said they would be last month, because a government shutdown, as you know, disrupts economic activity. So even though they're not getting reports, there's also a standstill in GDP, and the government is a very large share of GDP. On top of that, it causes confidence to be weaker. A shutdown makes people nervous, and so the Fed will have to be even more dovish, and I think that's why stocks can rally even more than they have already.
All right, you're also looking at seasonality. You alluded to it earlier. According to your data, since 1950 in Q4, we see just about an average rise of about 5%. But when we're talking about seasonality, are you sure this isn't an outlier year? As we mentioned, a government shutdown, companies trying to deal with tariffs. We're seeing a trade war between the U.S. and China continue. It hasn't quite been resolved yet. I mean, aren't there some issues that could maybe shake the seasonality here?
Yes, that's right. I mean, seasonality is just a base case. So things can make it different. But this year we're going into the fourth quarter where sentiment, I think, is still really muted. If you look at things like AAII net bulls, it's barely positive. After a 30% rally in stocks, historically, you'd be solidly positive on a 20-week moving average of that number. Investors have really been skeptical this entire rally. That's why we call it the most hated V-shaped rally.
All right, I'm going to get to your pick as well. Your pick for us today is financials. Now, is this on the idea that the Fed is dovish, rate cuts help, boost the yield curve, and that helps financials, or is there some other reason that you're saying that you will put money into financials right now ahead of earnings?
Well, I think financials have also fundamental tailwinds because we know the Fed is going to be dovish, which is helpful for economic activity. But on top of that, AI is a tool that the financials industry can leverage. It's going to help them root out fraud. It's going to help make their businesses more profitable. And it's something we've talked about at Fundstrat, which is the financials may end up getting technology valuations, especially given blockchain and moving from traditional financial rails onto blockchain and becoming more efficient.
All right. You're also a big believer in Ether. So you're saying financials companies especially, you say, are building on Ether. Is that a tailwind somehow? The fact that they're building... Oh, sorry. Did I cut you off?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely, Frank. Keep in mind, Exhibit A in all this is Tether. It's the largest stablecoin issuer in the world. It's valued at $500 billion, or about 25 times earnings. It makes it the second largest bank in the world behind JP Morgan. And it shows you that by building on the blockchain, a business can really reduce cost and be a lot less employee intensive. Tether only has 300 employees compared to JP Morgan, which has 313,000 employees. So Tether's valued at around 1.8 billion per employee, JP Morgan around 2.6.
Okay.
So you can see the leverage coming from Ethereum.
All right. Tom, I also want to mention you're the chairman of BitMine Emerging Tech.
So that's a good segue into our next segment. BitMine, buying a lot more Ethereum. So let me know what you think about that, what he said down below in the comment section. I don't think that financials are priced for a lot of growth. Right now, JP Morgan Chase, biggest bank in the world, is a 15 price to earnings ratio, and it's been growing pretty significantly, pays a healthy dividend, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if they were able to command a 30 price to earnings ratio, it would double without any more revenue or earnings growth. So yeah, it's not really commanding a very high premium right now compared to some other stocks. IBIT traded $1 billion in the first 30 minutes today, number 4 of all ETFs. We also have BitMine buying 179,000 Ethereum worth almost $1 billion last week, 821 million. They continue to stack. Obviously, Tom Lee very bullish on Ethereum, especially with the staking too. I think we're going to see pretty large inflows. Bloomberg says that the government shutdown is pushing investors to Bitcoin as a safe haven asset. We saw this with the bank scare back in, I think that was 2023, early 2023. That was kind of the thing that started to push Bitcoin up after the bear market. We actually saw people kind of look at Bitcoin and think, wow, if we had some kind of reserve in Bitcoin and our bank just went bankrupt, we could weather the storm and still pay some clients, right? Or pay employees, customers, all that. I guess not pay customers, but pay employees, right? And vendors and that kind of thing. Now, I think this is similar in the way that people look at Bitcoin and think, wow, the government really is stupid. Like they can't agree, so they're just going to shut down. They're going to come back and print a lot of money. Yeah, maybe we should have a safe haven asset, something that's not going to be inflated away by them. And at the same time, like we looked at gold earlier, silver is hitting new all-time highs. Silver market cap, I think, is now higher than Bitcoin. Yeah, $2.7 trillion. At the same time, coin market cap shows that Bitcoin's at under 2.5 trillion. Yep. So Bitcoin is less than 1/10 of gold. It's less than silver. It's like the third largest hard asset in terms of market cap in the world. And that's it. Third. I don't think it's going to end there this cycle. Let me know your thoughts. Again, if you do want to trade crypto, check out the link underneath the video. You can start on BYDFi in just a few minutes. It's a really easy to use platform. It's awesome because we have connections there. So if you do need to reach out to someone there, you can. Again, there's a link to my Telegram underneath the video. And you get these bonuses that constantly are run, right? If you trade, you'll get money back, basically. So I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. If you do want to check out other exchanges too, I use multiple exchanges. I've been trading on a bunch of different exchanges to see what I like. Right now, I really like BYDFi, but if you want to try out some other exchanges, there are links to BTCC, WEEX, BLOFIN, and BitUniX. Those are great exchanges too. The fees are very similar across them, but they have different bonuses. And, like on BYDFi, we're running this campaign. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one.